A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism one letter at a time.
We are vaped, vaxxed, and ready to relax.
Is that... Jesus.
I don't know. I had some women come to the restaurant and say they were vaxxed and unwaxed. And
They probably were.
And I said, wow, congratulations. Can I start you off with a beverage? Like, I'm just not.
Right? Glad
I'm
you're
just,
COVID free and just hairy as fuck.
just
for you.
well, I mean, I just try not to engage with, weird flirty behavior. I don't know.
No, you're not. You're like, yo, we got to meet up on a deeper level.
No, I mean, I
don't want to hear about your hairy butt.
It's just large groups. I don't know, man. I'm just not into it. And it's just like, yeah, let's have some fun and oohs and ahs. And, I don't know. I'm just like, I need to tell you about the fish so that you don't ask me. So I don't
you're gonna go out. You're gonna not wear you're gonna listen to the CDC. You're gonna.
So here's what I think. The majority of my interactions are at work, and I have to wear a mask anyway, right? It's still required in the state of California. Mm-hmm. Because I'm just going to continue to do what I've been doing. Like, I'm going to wear it at the store because it's in the state of California. I mean, I understand that Arizona's been, Wild West in it for a while now.
Yeah.
But I'm probably not going to worry too much if I'm out on a run and I'm in the bike path and somebody's on the sidewalk.
Right.
But for me, it's like just letting people know, like, I get it. I respect it. Maybe you haven't been vaccinated, whatever. I don't know how much of this needs to be fucking performative. Is it going to be, you know what I mean? Like, do I start wearing my mask around my arm when I go out so that people know that I'm mask conscious, but that I'm also vaccinated? Like, what is the protocol?
I don't know. That's wild. I don't know. I still wear it, but there's a lot of mask mandates. Like Pima County's a pretty fairly blue, like liberal county where I live. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of mask mandates still in from stores. It's like their personal preference. I left my neck gaiter at home when I went running the other day. That's the first time I've done that in a year. And it was weird to run without it just because it was always kind of there. I was just used to it. It's like just adopting a whole new thing, but I'm still going to wear a mask. I figure that's my own personal preference. Well, I'm going to wait to see if we even hit 80%. If we can hit herd immunity, then y'all get to see my upper lip. You know what I'm saying? My face. But if we're not hitting herd immunity, like I still don't want COVID. Just because I'm vaccinated doesn't mean I can't catch it. And they're like, well, you won't die from it. I'm like, I still don't want to get sick. Like, of all those years of catching those horrible fucking flus, if I would have known, if somebody would have said, hey, if you wear a mask, your likelihood of catching the flu is lower, which I was never taught, I would have worn a mask. I don't want the flu. Like, I don't want any of that shit.
I haven't gotten any sinus infections. I haven't gotten a cold.
I have a sinus infection.
I'm sorry.
But that's just from living out here in this hellhole. So
you want to know what else this last year is I haven't had any allergies. I go out there, I'm breathing in the pollen. I have like
good for you,
my backup of Claritin, and I would like pop it, starting in April and nothing. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
Might have been horrid. It was awful. New environment though. So
yeah. Well, what's the allergy in Arizona?
Mesquite, cactus, mesquite, Palo Verde trees, hibiscus, not hibiscus, jasmine, all that shit that grows out here.
Wait, what's mesquite? I thought mesquite was just like for barbecue. What is it?
It's the actual mesquite tree. There's a bunch of different kinds of mesquite trees, and they pollinate. They let go of tree pollen. There's some grasses here. I don't know what it is that kicks my ass, though. I've had a sinus infection for months. Like low level, where my nose just smells like ammonia all the time.
You ever had that?
I'm allergic to dust here, too. The dust the Arizona dust in particular, I'm more allergic to. I have headaches like 5 days out of the week now. That's okay. What have I done? Maybe that's what W will be for. I was laughing at my mom because I told my dad, hey, we're doing W if you still want to do it. And he says, well, if you want me to. And I'm like, of course. That's why I told you.
What have I done?
And my mom's like, what's your W for? Wagner? And I'm like, no, it should be for like, what the fuck have I done? And then she started laughing. She's like, it's a pretty good one, actually.
What have I done? I think I'm just kind of like, for me, it's kind of just go with whatever's going on out there.
Yeah.
I'm really not interested in making any statements.
No.
I'm really not interested in, standing any ground on this particular point for any reason whatsoever.
The fucking mask, it keeps you from getting sick. That should be the whole basis of the thing.
Yeah. So
I don't know. People are mentally ill, and then bigger groups are super mentally ill, so they need help, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just curious because there are parts of it, like you go north to Phoenix, and that's all Trumplandia. It's all red as it's as red as a slapped fucking ass, dude. As Coda says,
red as a slapped ass.
Yeah, dude. But it is what it is. I was just curious, just because I know you're in that industry, and I don't know. I'd assume you are in California, and the numbers are still pretty. They're high. I don't know.
We're not bad. We're not bad. We have one of the highest rates of vaccination in the country.
Boom, killing it. That's great.
So,
I don't know where we are at vaccinations, but
right. So I think that what's probably going to happen and what I imagine is going to happen is June 15th, they will lift a majority of the stuff, but there will be some like mask mandates for certain essential workers, restaurant people, stuff like that. So we'll probably have to wear it for like another month. My guess is they will make some sort of big sweeping, 4th of July, freedom, blah, 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 and then release everything there in some sort of symbolic gesture. That's my guess. So, I mean, I've come this far. I'll do it for another month.
Yeah.
6 weeks.
What does this all have to do with alcoholism? If you wear a mask, you can't drink. So keep the mask on.
Look at
and
that.
Then you won't be able to drink.
That is the plug in the jug of your mouth. Yes. Yeah, you can't drink with a mask on.
So wear that mask.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could soak it in like whiskey or something. You could.
But you just be waterboarding yourself and not getting drunk at all. Because come on, man, you ever soak on you cannot get drunk sucking on a whiskey soaked rag. Unless you're a baby.
Yeah, fair enough.
Are you a baby alcoholic? If you're a baby alcoholic, congratulations on figuring out how to download a podcast.
Hey, there you go. So I thought today would be I wanted to talk about Vision for You, which is a chapter 11, which is in the big book. And we don't usually jump into direct text stuff, but
there are probably a bunch of people who don't even have big books or use the program, but
right. So we have expressed in the past our affinity for this program, our frustrations with this program, our gratitude for this program. I mean, truly it has saved my life in ways that I can't imagine anything else doing for me. Like every other book that I have read, I have not gone back to as I have with this book. So this morning, and A Vision for You is sort of the conclusion, when they say we got to sit down and read the first 164. This is the conclusion. This is the hopeful nugget after they have thrown all the shit at you and told you everything you got to do and told you how easily you can, fall from grace, even though you've already fallen and all that stuff. And they give you all the steps. And then it's sort of this sort of hopeful vision of the future, right? Vision for you, vision for me. And one of the things that they talk a lot about, I think too, the main thing is there has to be a spiritual experience. Let me go back. Finding God. You got to find God, Jerry, right? That sounds pretty awful and gross.
We're doing this, aren't we?
But wait. Let me just.
But wait, there's more.
Finding God, right? What is that?
Yeah.
Spiritual experience. What is that? Right? What is a spiritual experience? I was thinking about this morning. all I'm doing is shifting my consciousness, right? So I'm
Yeah.
just changing the way I think. I'm simply looking with a different perspective. And it's so easy when we're alcoholics and we're practicing alcoholics and we're drunk all the time. You only see that one little tunnel vision. So in my mind, the spiritual experience, as I have experienced it very slowly and not, there have been very few epiphanies. There's been some, but it's just been a sort of widening of the lens of how I look at life and
Okay.
feeling a little more hopeful about the possibilities and the potential rather than fuck it, everything's ruined. Let's just have another drink. That's how I see it, as
Okay.
finding God,
Mm-hmm.
which is what they say in the near the beginning of the chapter.
Mm.
And I know you don't like this.
No, I don't. I want to push back so hard.
Please.
You know?
So no, yes, pushback. That's my
I personally have felt like I have had what I maybe felt like was a spiritual awakening. I'm far more spiritually aware than I was when I came into the program, but I feel like it does a disservice. This program can do people a disservice by saying you will not fully recover unless you find God, be it a chair or a group of drunks or any of that other, whatever it is that they're doing. So to
okay.
me, I feel like you don't need, dude. See, here's my weird pushback because I love the program and it's worked really well for me. And I feel like the fellowship, which also is another Christian fucking word, you know, it has helped me out a lot with recovery. And when they wrote this book, they were basing off the Oxford House shit, or not Oxford, the Oxford Society, whatever that
Yeah.
group, who were all Christians, and so they needed
Yes.
a Christian angle. But then Bill W is kind of cool with like some Buddhist aspects and this and that, so he's like, yo, let's not exclude everybody, but let's still keep it a spiritual
Christian.
angle. So for you, the spiritual angle works. But for me, I'm like, I don't need to find God to get sober. As a matter of fact, I honestly will posit this to us, to the room, is that I don't need to find God to stay sober and stay in recovery. That being said, I feel like it is important for me to understand my size in the world. And so I guess I can use the word, what I've been doing is with the word God is using it as like a placeholder for my ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not the center of everything. I think I am. Everything's happening around me and I observe it from inside this fucking head, but it's not about me. So the idea of God to me was saying, it's not just about me, it's about everything going on. And I'm just kind of a bit player in this whole thing. I'm not even a bit player. I may be not even an extra. I may be the dude who,
cameo.
I may be the Grip's boyfriend. I don't know. So for me, the God stuff always makes me feel like it really limits people in using the program. And I feel like you can get sober without God. You can.
Sure.
Now, and you can stay sober without God. And then I've always heard, well, you'll be miserable. And I'm like, I don't know. You can have a happy recovering life if you just don't repeat the same mistakes you did before and had maybe went to a psychiatrist or a counselor or so. The program shit is always, I love it, but it gives me pushback. And I'm not going to push back against you because this is what works for you. So I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but I don't even think the message in the book is wrong. It just raises all my hackles. Like it makes me mad uncomfortable because I'm like, shit, dude, that language though.
Yes. So the language, and that's to me is why I changed it in my own perception.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it did. I was like, find God. Fucking find yourself. Like, you know, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's what this means. And then that's what this means. Spiritual experience, shifting my consciousness, changing my mind, changing my perspective, how I think about things. Like, could I choose today to feel miserable and focus, you know, and I don't want to say that you shouldn't focus on some of the things that are troubling you because they may require your attention, right?
Well, yeah, that's why they're troubling you.
So I need to fix them. I need to think about them. I need to think about solutions. But I don't like to just wallow anymore. I don't like to just go,
right,
man,
but
miserable. I fucking hate it. This sucks. nothing's ever going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like, okay, so this sucks, but does it have to suck like in the next moment or the next moment? I don't.
So you're saying you finding God keeps you from saying life sucks?
Shifting my perspective.
But you could do that without God. You could just shift your perspective, or at least
That
work with another person to help you shift your perspective to find the things to be grateful for.
yes,
So, and I'm not
yes.
pushing against it. I mean, I'm even looking at the page here where they're talking about now and then a serious drinker being dry at the moment says, I don't miss it at all. I feel better. I work better. I'm having a better time. As ex-problem drinkers, we smile at such a sally. We know our friend is like a boy whistling in the dark to keep up his spirits. He fools himself inwardly. He would give up anything to take half a dozen drinks and get away with them. He will presently try the old game again, for he isn't happy about his sobriety. He cannot picture life without alcohol. So I don't, like there are a lot of drunks out there who are just going through the fucking motion. Sometimes I've been a drunk just going through the motion. We joke about it like, oh, if you can figure out a way to drink normally, hit me up. And sometimes I joke, sometimes I mean it. But that's not for lack of God in my life, That's
Yeah.
me. That's the chemicals in my brain going back to the neural pathway that they were always used to taking. Is the old fallback. It's like, yo, I'm going to go back to the crutch. I'm going to pick the crutch back up because it was so much easier to walk with the crutch, but it was so much harder to depend on the crutch. So I don't know. I'm not trying to give you God pushback. I'm really sorry.
Please.
Like, I'm not, this is just the way I've been feeling about it lately. And I still pray every night. I try my hardest to have attitudes of gratitude, and I'm like incredibly unhappy a lot of the time, but I was incredibly unhappy before the program.
Exactly.
I was incredibly unhappy on my pink fucking cloud. I will die incredibly unhappy because that's just my personality. I cannot change that fundamental aspect of my being. And me praying or fucking meditating or trying to find Buddha or whatever it is, I don't think I don't know, man. I just don't fuck with that God-shaped hole shit. I don't fuck with that shit.
I don't believe that you will die incredibly unhappy.
I'll probably die freaking out or just with dementia and being like, are you my granddaughter? Just in a Ross. They'll be like, sir, this is a Ross. Sir,
an onion on
and I'll be
belt,
60,
which was the style of the day.
You owe me a pie.
But I think you're right. One does not need God to get sober.
And I'm not trying to make you change your mind. Sober. I'm sorry.
You don't need to apologize either. It's just
I'm going to, damn it.
You and I. And it also doesn't change my mind for me and the way that I have come to understand it. Now, this is very, this whole program is based around that, right? This whole program is like very one track. And
God. Yeah.
There are, I would say, as many ways to get sober as there are people who want to get sober. And you can do it however you want to do it.
Right.
The thing, and it's not just the God line in this. I mean, there are many other purposes, and we'll talk about this next week. Purposes and points to this program that have helped me. But it was, and because I felt the same way as you in the beginning, that word brings up the idea of Jesus and Christ and the cross and church and praying. And I've been to a couple of churches and it freaked me the fuck out. And I was like, I can't wait to get out of here. What the fuck am I doing here? But I can do anything for an hour. So, which has got that attitude has gotten me through a few meetings too.
Well, yeah, same here. Because I've said in past podcasts, don't let God keep you from recovery. I've said it.
Right.
Don't use that as an excuse to be like, I don't believe in God, because that will fuck you up if you're trying to get into the meetings, but also it's also one of those things where it's like, me with almost 7 years of recovery, looking back on it, I'm like, was it helpful? Yes. Was it a tool I used? Yeah, absolutely. It was a tool I used. Is it a tool I'm using now and I'm bummed out all the time? Maybe I'm neglecting it in my life. Maybe I need to go outside and be like, yo, I'm sorry, imaginary life force of the universe or whatever it is. Who knows, man? I don't know. But I honestly think praying won't take away depression. So why would praying take away alcoholism? If they're both mental illnesses, if you knew someone who was bipolar, manic bipolar, which we both know people, and they're in an episode, you wouldn't be like, go pray.
No.
Make a gratitude list.
No.
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 But we suffer from alcohol dependency, which is also another form of mental illness.
I would say that the praying and the gratitude list is not a fucking EpiPen for an episode, right? It's not going to.
Not.
But these things done on a regular basis as maintenance, as tools in the best of times, can become helpful in the worst of times. You're right. Praying is not everything. And I would not posit that at all, to use the posit is the word of the day. But, there's other things that we need to deal with. I have to figure out how to get my finances in order, and I need to eat right. And I need to understand myself better mentally so that I don't fall into those same traps, dry or otherwise. So there's all this stuff. I have to go talk to a counselor. I have to be a part of whatever community I'm a part of. I have to engage in that. I have to be of some sort of service to someone for all of those things. So no, I wouldn't suggest, well, you just pray it away. If somebody has depression, they may just have fucking depression. And there may be medications that are required. There may be, you may not be able to just shift your consciousness, John. That's fucking ludicrous. But maybe you need to take some pills every day. And I would not suggest anyone not take their meds. And,
no, absolutely. If you need your meds, take them shits, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
But I would also say that the things, the prayers that I do, and the lists that I make, and all that other stuff that I do every single day
helps you.
Part of the foundation for me. I'm not saying if somebody asks me, hey, what do you think I should do? And I would say, well, this works really well for me. I wouldn't suggest you do something that I've never tried.
Right.
How
I was gonna say, you hand him a chick track.
A what?
Chick track. Those chick tracks, those little books. Remember the 90s? Yes, you get the little chick tracks that were like Dungeons and Dragons is from Satan, or just be like heavy metals for lesbians or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
The chick track.
No, but it works for you, and so that's why I only give pushback, because whenever we look at the book, I'm always like, But it's also the contrary nature of my being, and the fact that I don't really make meetings anymore, and I'm in a spot where I don't really necessarily feel like I'm thriving very much. So for me, it's like this pushback on things where I'm like, I'm doing just fine. Now I'm gonna be out in the garage crying, so it's always been in my nature to push back against anything.
Okay.
But still, don't let God keep you from a meeting, like getting sober. Like,
don't
just fucking fake it. Like everybody's told me, fake it till you make it. And then once you made it, then maybe you can stop faking it. And you're actually just making it,
I mean, if you can you're coming up on 7 years here, the contrary nature of your being and your
like I'd
aversion
sit in
toward
meetings
God
with my arms crossed, even 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years into it, just with my arms crossed in the back, like, yeah, this motherfucker's pouring whiskey in his milk. Really? So I don't know. And it's been hugely powerful. The program's been so powerful in my life. It has really, really, really been a huge sea change for me. But I will always I don't know, man. I start hearing the God stuff and I get nervous. I'm like, you guys are going to scare away the fucking newcomers. Knock it off. This dude coming in and out of the rain who's never liked God, and then all of a sudden they're like, let go, let God. You gotta find God. You gotta do this. And I'm like, why don't you just explain the nuts and bolts of the program? Let's just do that. Let's see how that works. What were we talking about also?
These nuts.
We're talking about this tiny fucking big book.
Yes. So we've got this. Well, you can see
you have the big one. You can't see it if you're listening, but I have one of the little tiny ones they give you. This actually, I got this shaky in a meeting. I've had this for 7 years. I've never really cracked it because I use the big one. And the text in it is so small. we were both laughing because I was like, you're fucking way early into recovery, and you get this tiny big book with this lettering that's like the size of an amoeba, and you're supposed to read that shit while spiders are crawling across the wall. You know what I'm saying? It always made me laugh. I've read it though, but I have not cracked it. Like I haven't cracked the spine. I have a big book in storage that's all duct taped together. I've read the damn thing so many times.
I wonder if anybody's ever just like done the audio version. Like if does who would read the audio version? Like Matthew
You and
McConaughey?
Yeah. You and I, McConaughey.
Another.
How does that come about?
I like this one here. I've prayed to God on hangover mornings and sworn that I'd never touch another drop, but by 9 o'clock I'd be boiled as an owl.
Dude, it's just like those fucking whoop-de-doo parties or whatever they call
the
them.
whoopee parties.
The whoopee parties, yeah. I mean, it's old language. It's funny. Those ideas are really old. It's not my intention to come in with all this fire and brimstone and be like, bad, I'm unhappy and the meeting's not working, because it's really fucking helpful. And the language is old. And I really think there should be revisions done to the big book, and they won't do them because it's tradition and it worked for so many people and they don't want to change it, you know? And I don't even know if can you imagine like a non-binary big book?
I'm sure
everything was they and them. I mean, there's the sarcastic big book. There's the atheist big book, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I honestly think if it would help somebody relate better, then I'd be all for any sort of, version of it that would help somebody. But you're right. They wouldn't do it because tradition, at least
can't
not
change
for another.
It, right? Well, the boomers won't change it. We'll see what happens when our generation gets, the boomers start dying out of the AA ranks and our generation comes in. Yeah. And next week we'll probably be talking to my dad about AA, and he's a boomer. So he'll be listening to this one in the car being like, fucking Jerry.
Jesus.
But I just wonder about the Gen Z in the program, the youngest generation, the kids right now who are hitting their mid 20s, the ones, those 30-year-old millennials who are, if they still use the program,
this will be over 100 years old, right?
Yeah. And if they are using the program or doing something different or just getting sober and following some influencer or something, that's a good question. I like how I just told myself my question was a good question. I'm killing it today, dude. Killing it.
So I think too, there's a what do I want to say here? This, without sounding, today I'm deciding that I want to be hopeful. And okay,
you should be.
I am prone to some depression and negative thinking, and I get down on myself for a lot of things.
Yeah, you're an alcoholic, John. Quit trying to act like you're some fucking Buddhist meditator.
I'm not. I'm just. You're right. You're a
mess. Like I'm a mess. We're a mess.
I'm a mess.
We'd be doing this podcast if we weren't messes, dude.
So today I was just like, I want to really fucking be helpful. My back is still hurting. It's been hurting on and off since.
That sucks.
Like last August when I heard it, and then April I heard it, and so I have to go to work, and there's lifting, and there's walking, and there's moving, there's fucking bending, and all this stuff, and it's like I can't catch a break. And so like wanting to go out and go run, and that's not too bad, but I can't lift anything.
Right.
And I was like, fuck, okay, so this is just whatever this process is, and I'm stuck in it. And so I can either wallow in the momentary pain, or I can go like, okay, this is just part of this. You're just in this particular avatar of being, right? This is just a part you're playing.
Yeah.
And
right.
I was listening to some Alan Watts, and he was saying something to the effect of, tomorrow doesn't exist. Tomorrow, or the future is just a construct or something like that, right? His whole point is this moment. I fuck
with Alan Watts a little bit.
Yeah.
This moment is what?
Nothing else exists.
Right.
And like, I was like, okay, so if nothing else exists except this moment, do you want to be fucking miserable, or do you want to be hopeful? And I was like, I think I'd rather be hopeful. So I'm just going to try that. And it's been a little bit better. Then I go, okay, so my back is hurting, and that's just like what it is for now. And it'll go away. I mean, I used to have this other pain and it took months to go away. And then I had this
right. It was your foot.
It was my foot for a while. It was the back of my leg. Like it was everything. So
it's working its way up.
That's exactly with my ankles. Seriously, it was. And then my thighs, it literally is. And then, you know, but yeah, so that's kind of something that I think about. And, you know, when I do my prayer in the morning, I put it in quotations because I don't get on my knees and do that kind of thing. But, you know, I just feel like that's what this whole chapter is like, hey, there's a lot of shit to take in. So like, kind of be hopeful. Right. And he talks about meeting Dr. Bob for the first time. You know, he's like, oh, I had a business deal fall through, and there was all the liveliness of the bar, and I had to go find a phone. You remember that? You remember the scene from the movie, but the Bill W. story?
Yeah.
And, you know, James Woods is all freaking out in the fucking, you know, phone booth. And so, but, and it's like, okay. And then they go and they help another, and they help another, and they help another. And ultimately that's kind of all it is, right? Is like, go talk to somebody else.
Right. That's pretty much, you know, working with another alcoholic who knows what you've been through. That's why whenever I do get into rooms, I get overwhelmed because I'm around a bunch of people who can relate. And that's really rare for me in the world. And that's why I drank in the first place, is because I always felt like nobody could fucking relate to me. So if I got drunk, then I'd have some common ground and all the other padding that comes with alcohol. And then I could be a normal fucking person instead of this weird thing that I am. So when I go into a room, I'm like, oh, it's a bunch of other weird things. Like, oh, there's not just me. There's a bunch of us here. And it just always breaks my heart, like with happiness, because I'm around fucking me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I could sit here and be all snarky with you and be like, bah, 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 bah. Then, you know, I've got my own misery, of course, just like you do. And we all cope in different ways. And this is what's helping you cope. And if that's what you got to get through, then do it. You know, like, you know. Yeah, dog. I mean, maybe I should go pray.
Well, and it's just I guess too, there's the whole, as you understand it, as you come to find it, as it works for you. There's no,
the language is it's smart. It's actually very smart.
It's very smart.
It's not like they do make you promises, because there are the promises, but you know, like the promises are, if you do these things, this will happen, and they won't happen. We can't tell you when they'll happen, but they'll happen eventually, which is, I love the ambiguity of the language. It's always made me smile, because it's like, listen, things will get better sooner or later, sometimes slowly, you know, like we will, you know, if you work for it, it'll fucking come to you faster, you know. So I haven't read A Vision for You in a long time, but I know the general gist of it. It's like, you know, you work this program, shit'll get better. These dudes worked this program and shit got better, you know. Was there a specific thing you wanted to talk about in it before
I think that I don't know if there was one specific thing. I know that there is, you know, again, they repeat things like the book is suggestive only. And this is something, again, so as you understand it, this is simply a suggestion. You can throw this fucking book in the trash. Right. You can walk away from it.
Right.
It does not hold any bearing. You are not required. You know, there are no, what do they say? There are no dues or fees for membership.
Nope.
So I guess mostly I was just trying to, I was using this as a way to continue to feel a little more hopeful than I would to feel.
There's no hope.
It was pretty self-serving.
I know. I was just
to be
joking.
Quite honest.
There is a lot of hope, actually. A lot of good things a lot of good things can happen. A lot of positive things can happen.
And you know, it's hard because like, got to wear that mask at work, and then I get a fucking cold sore, and I'm like, well, fuck, because I'm breathing whatever, or just
but you get to hide the cold sore, dude.
right? Yeah. So,
damn, dude, I've gotten okay. Listen, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I only get cold sores like once in Oregon. I was get them maybe once a year. I went on like a 4-year stint without one fucking cold sore, killing it. Every time I come home to Arizona, I get them like every 2 months. I mean, I had 2 in a row where I got one, went through the whole 2-week cycle, went away, and then boom, it popped back up again. So for like a month, I had a cold sore. The only saving grace was every time I went out in public, I got to wear a mask over it. So you didn't get to see that fucking massive mean thing, you know?
So,
I know it itches, hurts, it looks ugly, makes you unhappy. Does it make your glands swell up in your neck? Mine do. And in my armpits.
It wasn't that bad this time,
Oh, man.
But yeah, so I mean there are some things to be hopeful for, and there are other things like I'm dealing with some not, I don't want to say legal problems, they're not problems, but I had to hire an attorney. Now I know this person from a long time ago. We went to high school together. To do it all professionally. He's like, yes, I can help you with this contract. I can help you through this thing, but I'm going to need, I'll kick it up to my boss. And so the boss sends me this retainer. And so I have to plunk down a sizable chunk of change to get this issue dealing with, my father's estate and stuff like that. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, okay. Thankfully, in the moment that you asked for the help, you had the money to put up for it.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that I am sitting on stacks, right? Because I had other plans for that money. But in the moment, it's like, okay, well, I trust this person. They're going to do the best they can. They're certainly not going to try and bilk me for the whole thing. But it was like $2,500, Jerry.
Like that's a lot for
that's
guys
the retainer,
like us.
And that's
that's just the retainer. Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, dude, like that's
groceries, rent,
that was everything.
Gas,
I was like, okay, well, maybe I get most of that back, maybe I don't. I don't know, but that was just, so I was like, okay, easy come, easy go, right?
Absolutely.
And I don't want to sound too woo woo, but okay, if the money is just energy, and if I just have to make it be open to the flow, right? If I just let it go out, and then it'll be able to come back in, and let it go out. And so it's because it's hard to click that button, put your credit card in.
You're like a sea sponge, except instead of sailing, it's fucking money. Also, I was only smiling because nobody can really see this unless they watch on YouTube. When you started talking, I was smiling because you're like, I got this attorney, I know him from high school. And it's like, sometimes your life is like Seinfeld. Like, you just know these people who do these things just like George does or Kramer does. Where he's like, I got an attorney. He's
Jimmy Sherman up on 25th.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, yo, I got a realtor I went to high school with. Got an attorney I went to high school with. Yo, I know this doctor that I fucking used to serve at the bar. It's always like someone Yeah, it's so funny.
It's
also
true.
But in perspective, you think about that $2,500. I mean, how much would you reckon you spent on one night of drinking, and then double that by 2 nights? And not just drinking, like food and cabs, like the whole night. Like, you probably had right,
maybe 3.
And then how many of those nights you do in a row? A $300 night.
I could do, well, if I wasn't working, I could do three in a row, and that would be $900.
Boom, right there. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's nothing helpful. Like, you fucking got, you know what I mean? You took a cab to the 5 Coins or whatever and got diarrhea from the oysters.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, after drinking fancy booze all night, you're like, yeah, I'll have 15 Sazeracs or whatever, Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you would. I know you would. And you'd be like, man.
I used to love a good Sazerac.
By Sazerac number 5, you don't even know what the fuck a Sazerac tastes like. That's the thing, though. It's like, this is the alcoholic in me. I'm like, you start off with the good drinks until you get buzzed. And then from there, it's all fucking the rack. Everything in the fucking rack. But that's the alcoholic in me talking.
And I think for me, too, it was always about the performance and ordering it, right? And being heard and being seen, right?
You're like, I'm a fancy man. I order fancy drinks with French names that no one knows how to make. Now I'm going to argue with this guy for an hour about how to make a proper old fashioned. While I sit behind you going, fuck, dude, just put liquor in it. Let's go.
Let's go. I was talking to a guy at work, and he asked me the other day, Now he wasn't drinking for a little while, but obviously we didn't talk about it. And then he was like sipping on a beer. So like, whatever, people go in and out. Like there was I got no
Sober
problem with that.
October. Yeah.
But but he said to me something about, so he's like, you don't drink at all? Because that's right, because we got invited to this dinner in a wine cave and I declined, and everyone was like, oh man, we missed you, we would love
First
to
of all,
see
wine
you.
cave is hilarious. Like I know a lot of people that just call it
Right.
a closet was their wine cave. You know what I
Right,
mean? Just sit in the
exactly.
closet and drink
Sit in the
wine. I see you out there. I
closet.
love you all out there. I love it. Yeah.
Mhm.
A
So
wine
yes,
cave.
I do. There's all this fanciness around me, and
Mhm.
I declined. I said, and my manager asked me twice because everybody was really excited about this. It's a
Well,
huge
you're like, what
deal,
am I
and
gonna do? I don't drink wine. I don't really eat cheese.
I
Like
don't
I'll
eat
have a
cheese.
couple of
I'm not
crackers.
going to have
Like,
steak or whatever. And I
right.
think they had like some vegetarian options, but I just said, I feel, and I also, it's like, it's a 4-hour dinner and I'm just there. Like there's no
With drunk
leave.
motherfuckers in a cave.
Exactly. Right. See, you understand why I
I'm in a
would say
cave with a bunch of drunk motherfuckers. Like, this is not fun. So,
this is not
anyways,
fun.
so this dude tells you what, you just don't
So
drink at all?
I said, yeah, I was like, I don't drink. He's like, really? So like at all? And I said, man, well, yeah, it's been 6 years. And he's like, so you just couldn't anymore or what? And I said, man, I used to lie. I used to cheat. I would steal
Mm-hmm.
from my job. I would steal
Mm-hmm.
booze. I would steal money. He's like, oh, so you had a real problem. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and I'm always curious because like sometimes people don't drink for a while. And then I'm like, oh, maybe you just had a
Got,
DUI and you had to get through a breathalyzer thing at court, or I don't know
yeah.
what, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? That's
Got a
just
little bit out of hand. Do you know what I mean?
that's
Got a
my
little bit out of
assumption
hand.
about
Yeah.
them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what his deal was. Maybe he just sober October, whatever. And it was just funny because I was like, yes, it's really, really bad. And I was about to be like, and there was the time that I exposed myself to a restaurant full of people through the glass, and I have no idea who was in there in the middle of the day.
Sea
So, I mean,
cucumber. Yeah.
just, but it's like, I don't know how to explain it to you other than, yeah, it was bad. It was really, 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 really bad. And so,
Yeah.
no, I just didn't want to be in the wine cave. And I don't think these people would have gotten hammered, but everybody would have been a little tipsy and a
You're
little
just in the
this. And
culture. Like, you're very much in the culture of it. I like orbit the culture of it because people I live with and around are part of the work in the culture in the industry, but you're like working in the industry, and I know, they aren't going to get drunk. And I also know that your motivation isn't like, yeah, because it's real tempting, because people think that about us too, that like, is it okay if I drink this
I'm
around
on
you? And I'm
the
like, I'm
edge.
not tempted. You just get fucking annoying. Like, being around drunk people can be very annoying because you don't
Yeah.
realize it. You have all the Instagram filters going on. You got India, Indigo, Brazil, Bolsonaro, fucking maracas, all the fucking
Cauldron.
cauldron, all the filters. So you think everything is charming and great and funny. And I'm just like, you've said the same thing 4 times and you spit in my fucking mouth. Like, no, it's not good.
Where's my
Like,
mask?
where's my mask? You're killing me here. So
Mhm.
yeah, dude, especially in the wine cave. Like, to
Yeah, I
me,
didn't want to be in the cave. I
the
mean,
fucking things that we have to put around drinking to make it more fun. Like, this is the novelty. We're in a cave where we fucking make the wine,
right.
like that's novelty where I'm just like, put me in a field and give me 2 tall boys and we'll see what happens. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I
So,
don't know.
and it
I
does, it
love that
just,
you said I'm sorry to interrupt you,
what
but
did I say?
you're like, I used to lie and cheat and steal. And in my mind, I'm thinking about myself. I'm like, yeah, I could be given the opportunity. I could be a real piece of shit. And that alcohol really fucking brings out the shit asshole in me, like the shitty person in me.
I did. I used to
I
take
can't
bottles of
stop.
vodka home from one job. I never really,
Of course you did.
that's
I
about
love that's your big confession. I'm like, of course you did. I drank them with you, probably.
it.
It's,
Well,
yeah.
there was,
Well, maybe
yeah.
not.
Well,
Maybe.
also, but see, here's how my brain would work is I would be like, well, if I order, because I did the ordering for this particular place. So
You'll
I'd be
skim a
like,
little off the top.
well, I wouldn't have to, because if I ordered 6 bottles of Grey Goose, they would give me a free bottle of like flavored vodka. So I'd always order 6 bottles every week so that on my weekend I could just take that bottle of pear or citron or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go cut it with some whatever.
Whatever. Some squirt.
Yeah.
tomato juice, like a nice pair of
God.
vodka and Clamato.
Yes, exactly.
Jesus,
Just-
dude. I remember in my late 20s. I was in my late 20s. I was dating this girl who was 19,
Mhm.
and she was a dancer. And
Mhm.
she didn't drink like I drank. But the fact that I was this big drunk fucking fat ass was apparently really endearing to her. And so I was like, she's like, what are you doing tonight? And I'm like, I'm getting loaded. I'm at my house. I'm just gonna sit in my living room, listen to music and get drunk. She's like, can I come with? I'm like, yeah, if you get drunk. And so she never really drank. So I had to buy her a bottle of birthday cake vodka. And she
Jesus.
literally drank like down past the neck and was like, I think I'm gonna throw up. And it was like not even at the top of the label. It was like maybe 2 shots, 3 shots, but she's trying to keep up with me and drink as fast as I was. And even then in my 20s, I was like, I ain't got no problem. I'm doing great. Me and Coda are partying. I'm dating this girl who's a dancer at the Silver Dollar Club.
Awesome.
I'm murdering life. And this poor girl is like throwing up from like barely down past the neck. And I'm like,
I think I'm gonna go throw up.
yeah, dude. And I'm already way under the swallows in a bottle of John Powers. I hope this episode is not triggering for some people, but yeah, just keep
Under the
mentioning it by
Swallows,
name.
the Jerry
Under
Wagner
the
story.
Swallows, Jerry. That's how I broke my leg, But I just that birthday cake.
Yeah.
She just left it at my house. I ended up drinking it because I was like, well, it's here. She's not gonna drink it.
Yeah.
It was awful. Awful.
But I just, and I don't, it's funny when people ask me that, like, I don't know what to say, because especially when I'm at work and we're in a mixed company and I'm just like,
are you embarrassed about your alcoholism?
I'm not embarrassed about it, but I'm just like, I don't know how to express it in such a way that they'll stop asking me questions, unless they're, you know what I mean?
They're
Like,
curious about it, probably because they're not alcoholics, or maybe they are alcoholics
maybe they are
themselves and want
alcoholics,
to
so I don't
know
want to.
if they're going to pass the test.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think sometimes, and like I'm not as social as you, so I don't. I remember, but I don't. You know what I mean? Like you're out with people all the time who did not know you. Like when I got sober with a bunch of people who knew me as a drunk. At work, in my life, my social group. I didn't go to a new job with a bunch of people who did not know me, doing the fucking steamed ham, whatever Jerry Wagner was doing back then. So I didn't have to the steam hams, dude. That's what I always thought about the pressing the dick against the window is the steam hams, Aurora Borealis in your kitchen, But so I've always been really open about it. I have been embarrassed by my actions, but my whole who I am and who I was as a person back then, I haven't had the opportunity yet to feel embarrassed about it. Not that I'm saying you are, but. And the opportunity is a weird word, but I haven't been in that position where I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking ripping alcoholic when I get the opportunity to be one,
Yeah, it's just a matter of the company that I'm in, and like we're in a professional kind of setting, and so it's like, but yeah, it's and he's like, oh,
wait, your job's not like that movie Waiting?
No, it's not. It's not.
Thankfully. Or that TV show. Did you remember that TV show with all the caterers that worked in LA?
It was called Party Down.
Fucking great show.
It was a great show.
It wasn't like that. It wasn't as casual as that. You were like your boss, like, fuck you, Eric.
No, not at all. Usually my boss is like, John, we've been over this multiple times. You really need to. That was the other night because I forgot fucking steak knives with the steak. He's like, I think at this point, John, and I was like, I know I screwed up. Like I just was busy, and he's like, oh no, that's what it was. I said something about, table 43 waved off this, that, and he's like, so did table 52 wave off steak knives? And I was like, oh shit. Spencer.
Oh my God. Oh geez.
So I mean, like he just was like, we need to fucking put the steak knives on the table. And I was like, yes, you are correct, sir. I
love it. Dude's probably younger than you too.
He is.
Of course. It's like a 20-year-old.
Well, I know, and to be fair, I love working for him. I love working with him. Like he's super awesome. But like it was just kind of a funny moment. But that's mostly what it's not. No, it's not a wild place. We just try to get in there and do our thing and get the fuck out.
Right.
Because
whenever I worked in kitchens, it was like a wild fucking thing. But I never worked anywhere really respectable. So before tattooing, do you know what I mean? It was like coffee shops and like with all alcoholic friends who are all cooks and chefs, and not even chefs, they were all cooks. And so I get a dishwashing job, but I didn't give a fuck. Like, maybe I'm not coming in today. I'll come in tomorrow and act like I'll do the Costanza again. Like, I'll be like, wait, what? I'm fired. Yeah.
No, but yeah, everybody there is pretty much like, let's get in here and do our thing and go home, you know, when we're done. It's certainly not the bars in the past where I've worked at where we would loiter there until 5 or 6 in the morning sometimes, you know, or go to the next
at the company camp out
base. Yep. You know it. So that was my 20s.
Hey, we all got, like I said, birthday cake vodka. I've done worse than birthday cake vodka. I've done way worse that I don't talk about in the podcast because I'm like, really, y'all need to hear those war stories?
No, I don't think it's that terribly important, but
no,
you know,
they're probably just like yours.
I just wanted to express to him how bad it was, you know, like, yes, I would steal booze from work.
Yeah.
I don't really think I stole money. Like, I didn't steal out of the register, but I would give away tons of free drinks, right?
Yeah, I know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just whatever. Oh yeah, here's an extra few bucks. You know, people always like tip you on top of it. So, you know, whatever. But I'm just glad I don't have to do that shit today.
No, dude, there is no fucking 5-gallon jug of whatever that weird jungle juice was under your fucking kitchen table today.
So what Jared's referring to was a cocktail. It was a party competition. I used to do these things where I would make like gallons of cocktail. So they would pre-mix everything. And one time Jerry came to visit and I just had a 5-gallon paint jug, like a bucket filled with booze underneath the kitchen table. And it was sealed up, but like you would just go in there with your
ladle.
glass.
Oh, with a glass, you're right. There was no ladle.
There might have been a ladle, but like
I think we lost the ladle at one point.
You just go in there, dip in there with your glass for whatever the whiskey cocktail was.
Put ice in it because it was room temp.
Just room temp.
Little Mountain Dew.
Or whatever was that's right. Yeah.
I put Mountain Dew in it because I remember reading an article saying, oh, they made Mountain Dew to mix with bourbon. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do these Mountain Dew and bourbons, 300-calorie drinks, you know, and then drink fucking 50 of them. Oh my God. We've talked about the 5-gallon bucket or whatever, the rusty nail or whatever the fuck they were.
It was some kind of Manhattanish something, Scotch
so
booze.
Fucking gross. But that's not even part of your life anymore. And so that's what it is. Looping all the way back to the beginning. If you finding your God is what keeps you from keeping the 5-gallon bucket under your table, then fucking do it. You know what I mean? And if this is your coping mechanism for dealing with like not being able to be as, you know, physically active as you want to be, and that is kind of, that already is one of your coping mechanisms just to deal with whatever you're dealing with, well then do that. You know, don't listen to me, dude. Like sometimes I know, of course you don't, you just do what John does, and then I'm over here just I always feel like those two Muppets that sit in the fucking balcony in the Muppet Show and talk shit. That's like me, both of them. They both had names, but I can't remember their names.
Mortimer and is that
I don't know. Trading Places, the two Trading Places puppets up there talking mad shit about her. But that's like me. Like I just can't be satisfied with it. So I got to be like, you know.
Well, no, and I would rather you not. I mean, I appreciate that. You know that I'm going to do what I'm going to do, but I always like to hear your perspective, even if it is
grouchy, full of
contrary.
Shit.
Yes, grouchy and full of shit. Sure. Yeah, because here's the other thing. It's like I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to be hopeful for me.
Yeah.
I want the same thing for you.
Yeah.
Like I always do. I want you to be happy. Now I'm certainly not over here trying to convince you because I know that doesn't work.
No.
Right.
Well, try to convince me of anything. We've known each other for like almost 30 years at this. We've known each other for
6,
like almost, for a while.
Long time. That's for a while. It's 20.
But I'm saying though, like, anytime you've ever tried to convince me of anything, I've always been really resistant to it. It's just my personality. You know, I've always been like, no, that's not cocaine or whatever. And then I do it anyway and then be like, okay, fine, that's cocaine.
Right. So I'm just like, okay, I need to be hopeful for myself. Jerry, I wish you the most happiness in the world. And if there's anything I can do, great. If not, cool too. Like, I'm certainly not interested in trying to be like, hey man, I don't send you fucking YouTube links to meditation podcasts or
I just would
whatever.
ignore them.
Right.
Yeah, or I'd look at them and be like, literally, that'd be my face. I'd be like, oh God, did you see the doctor or me?
Every day's a gift. I think it's Kevin McDonald's birthday, speaking of the kids in the hall.
He was in that, no, it's not Kevin McDonald.
Yeah, I thought so. No.
So, I'm thinking of someone different. Dave McKeon. Is that his name? The other one? Dave
McKeon is
that's Spinal Tap.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, one of the kids in the hall guys is on this TV show my sister watches called like Super Mart or something.
Oh, Mark McKinney.
Mark McKinney is on it. Yeah, that's who it is. And I'm like, that's the dude from Kids in the Hall. My sister was like, really? And I'm like, yeah.
That was probably I would say probably the best sketch show ever made.
I'd have to agree.
I mean,
I didn't really watch the other ones though. Well, I do. I watch I would watch Saturday Night Live and Mad TV and The State every once in a while.
The State was pretty good. Had some good sketches.
Which was the one that had David Cross on it? The one Mr. Show.
Mr. Show was really good. Yeah, that was pretty good.
This is our list now at the end of the pod where we just talk about all our sketch comedy shows. They're supposed to do a Kids in the Hall reunion, but then COVID fucked everything up. Scott Thompson is one of the funniest people in the fucking world to me. I love Scott, and as I've gotten older, I love Scott Thompson more, especially his monologues with
Buddy Cole.
The Buddy Cole monologues are so
I read his book. I read the Buddy Cole book.
I remember you had it like hanging around the house too. Yeah. But
I just think it's like the best. I think they're the funniest, the smartest. They are able to tap into extraordinarily relatable people and subjects and topics, and also they can take you into the sort of weird and bizarre niche, and you're like, what the fuck? But you're almost instantly like, I'm down for this. Whatever this is, I'm down for it.
All the drunk ones are great. You could tell those guys grew up with drunk dads.
Oh, there's the girl drink drunk. So yes, if you
This is one of John's favorites is the girl drink drunk sketch. Mine is the drunk dad who takes him out to the Rock.
so yes, there's these two are great. Yeah, I think drunk dad is Bruce McCullough.
Yes, who absolutely had an alcoholic father, I think.
Who takes his kid out and does what? Tells him to shoot the rock, or what does he do?
No, he says it's your 13th birthday. You're a man now, and you have to do a family tradition. My father did it before me, and his father before him. And he drives him out to a rock, and he's like, "You have to watch me get blind, stinking drunk." And then the dad gets super fucked up, and gives the kid the keys to the car, and he's like, "I'm walking." And the kid's 13 and has to drive the car home. It's like the middle of his birthday party. It's so funny. Yeah.
Yes. So go look up those Kids in the Hall skits. And then Girl Drink Drunk is the one where Dave Foley is a businessman and he goes out with his boss, and his boss takes him out for a business dinner. And it's like his boss gets a glass of scotch, and he's like, well, I don't really drink. I don't really like the taste of booze. And I think he gets like a purple woo woo or something like
some
that.
Scorpion Bowl or some shit. Yeah.
And he goes off the deep end like instantly, but only for girl drinks.
Well, quote unquote girl drinks.
Right. And so it gets
nowadays
to the point where
sweet drinks. Yeah.
So it takes all the tropes of being an alcoholic. And so he's like in the office, he's in the paper room at the office or whatever, the utility closet. He's got the blender. It's like just because he has to blend everything, and he has to make sure he gets frozen bananas and peach schnapps and
it like reminds me of like of alcoholism because of the ritual and the things the you know what I mean, all those like deals you had to make with yourself, not deals, but like all the things you needed to set up to get like a drink, I guess.
Yeah,
he's got the blender and the ice and a coconut and like some cream de menthe. You know what I'm saying? But like it was just all those things we had to do with ourselves.
All the little rituals,
sneaking the little drinks here and there, and being like, well, if I round out the night with some Rumplements, man, it'll be a good night, or whatever it is,
I need just this much
allowances. That's the word I was looking for.
Allowances to the end of the sketch where he's sitting outside on a tree and he's got some kid bringing him a slushie because that's all he can do now. It's like this little kid has to go buy him a slushie so he can pour his booze into it.
Yeah. It's fucked up. It's funny.
But yeah, it's funny. It's fucked up. So I would suggest, well, I won't suggest anything to anybody other than, stay sober and go watch Kids in the Hall.
Watch Kids in the Hall. Don't drink. Read, if you're in AA, read A Vision for You, and notice that we really didn't talk about it very much.
I love it.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.